So many questions about how do we store flour, especially if you're a bread maker and you go through a lot of flour like I am. And of course, I teach classes, and so I buy it in big 25-pound bags normally. And how do I store this? I definitely do not want to keep this in a bag. You know, little buggies can eat through here. It just can be a mess and you can get it wet. So I want to have it in an airtight container. Now, I was a sales leader and a franchisee actually for Tupperware for many years, and so I still believe in their product. I've been using it for a long time. So this isn't a commercial for Tupperware, it's just an explanation that their products are airtight, unlike most containers that you're going to get. Now, I know a lot of people use those big buckets, and they're very difficult for me to open up. I want to be able to simply open up a container and access what I want and know that it's also being stored properly, that I can't have bugs trying to get into it or air. Air can be not a good thing for our food. So here's what I do. First of all, I put my large 25-pound bags in these containers here. Now, I realize you might have to go look online for some of these containers, or just make sure that they're airtight, whichever way you choose to get it. Make sure they're an airtight container. So besides just telling you the brand that I prefer, which again, you can, as long as you know it's airtight and you don't want it to be made out of that BPA bad stuff. And it is not. The thing I love about Tupperware, quite frankly, it has a lifetime warranty, and I have replaced many, many things over 30 years. But relatively speaking, because as much as I use, I haven't really replaced that many. It's just that I use a lot. Okay, so now airtight container. This is a really tall one that isn't always in their line. This one, these are called the Modular Mates, as I said. Just, I have saved so much money in food over the last 40 years because I store it properly. So what I do is I keep, this one is what we're going to put the flour, this great big flour. But let's look in here. There's flour in here. I put it in here about 6 months ago. See, and you can tell I just date it, really important. So what I'm going to do is I got this flour the same as this flour. So they're the same age, if you will. So I'm now going to take the flour from the big container and put in the smaller container. My mom used to call this downsizing. And she does it all the time, or she did it all the time with her refrigerator. So we're going to take this, is what is, let's say it's aged 6 months. We're going to put that all together. And I keep this in my main pantry off of my kitchen, so it's just easy to get to. This one goes in my longer term storage in my pantry. But again, I hope you're getting it. You don't want to put brand new flour in with old flour. Just like my yeast video that I showed. And remember, there's a scripture in the Bible, like you don't put new wine in old bottles. There's a reason why you want to make sure it's all clean. So anyway, I'm going to do that first. And then this one will be all full. This one I'm going to wash. Another key thing. I want to have a container to put that good flour in. So that's the sequence. And I'll come back and just show you after I wash this container, dry it thoroughly, and then you'll see that I have everything in order. And my food is going to be really fresh and protected. I won't be throwing things out, and I don't want you to either. Okay, all the flour is in my everyday use container, and now I'm going to go wash this one right here. You just want to keep things nice and clean in your kitchen. I've got my container all washed out, and I always make sure I don't see any drops of water. So I've been letting this air dry actually for a couple of hours. So now I've opened up my bag. I don't put it on my countertop because that's a little too tall for me, so I just put it on one of my chairs. And it also is really helpful if you have a nice big scoop. Look at that nice scoop. Anyway, just scoop it out. Now, you might want to just pour it in there. The reason I don't is because while I can lift 25-pound bags without any problem, I don't want to try and maneuver it over my container. Anyway, now I should be able to fit most of this 25 pounds of flour right here into this container. If I cannot, then I'm going to put it, where do you think? Am I going to put it back in the container over here that goes in my main pantry that's, from a few months ago? The answer is no, because I don't want to ever put new with old. So I'll just get another container and I will label that. And in fact, you know what? I don't think I am going to get the full 25 pounds in, so I'll show you. And I know it might sound a little crazy, like, oh, well, how is she so worried about adding, mixing it up? Because eventually, if you did that, you didn't use this best practice, then you might be using flour that's like really old. And flour can develop, weevils, little bugs in it, which is why I keep it in airtight containers. But if you are using older, the older that it gets, then the more chance that you have of not having that freshness. Anyway, so it looks like I'm about, I'm going to guess about 1/3 or 2/3 of the bag. And I still have, I still have a few inches to go. So I definitely will be using another container. And I'll show you in just a little bit how I label everything so that I do what we call in marketing when we have inventory at a store or you have a business. It's called FIFO. First in, first out. So we want to say, maybe even fresh in. We want fresh in, fresh out. We want to use what was here first. And then we'll always make sure that we're using the oldest first. And I don't want to pack down the flour because there's no way I'm going to put the rest of this in here. It just is not going to happen. I forgot that flour takes up more volume than, let's say, sugar. Although I don't buy sugar in 25-pound bags. Okay, my bag is empty. So 25 pounds of flour. This is bread flour. Fit in this large container, and I don't know the exact capacity of this one. And then I had one other smaller container. And now for a couple things about labeling, I just use my good old-fashioned masking tape right here. So that's my labels, and this is a preferred. I love this company, Lehigh Mills, where I get it from. I buy it through Costco, which is really fortunate. But then I'm going to put this other check mark here on this one to check for other flour, because before I go to this, I want to make sure I'm using this right here. And I always know that this one with the black seal is in my kitchen pantry. These other two are going to be in my secondary pantry. And I always use the smaller one first, because once this is gone, then I'm just getting rid of more space. So I'm going to put this little tag on here, check for other flour, because I want to make sure I use this flour, that I use this flour before I use this flour. So I just put little notes on it. It's a good idea. Let's take notes, but don't put them on a piece of paper and file them. Put them right there on the food. So that's going to be saved so beautifully. And I'm going to just tuck that in there. And I love having things on hand. If you remember, we had a thing called COVID-19 and we had to run on a lot of different kind of basic food. So I make sure that I keep a good amount of our basic food here.